All right, let's jump right into it. Today, we're taking a deep dive into some really remarkable source material.
Hmm.
These are excerpts from Nirmala's Meeting the Mystery, and they explore aware presence, truth, and how we can navigate life from that perspective.
Yeah, it's really fascinating stuff.
And this deep dive, it's really for you, the listener, to help unpack these, well, pretty profound insights.
Exactly. This collection, it pulls together some, really insightful reflections. They touch on these deep questions about our true nature, the reality we're in.
Right.
It's not really a step-by-step argument. It's more like pointing to something that's already right here.
And our goal, well, it's simple, really. We want to explore these ideas together, pull out the key concepts, the practical wisdom in there, to
Mm,
help you get a quick grasp of what's important and maybe, spark some of those aha moments.
hopefully, yeah.
So let's start with the absolute core concept, the thing this material keeps circling back to, awareness.
Hmm.
What is it from this perspective?
Yeah. Well, the fundamental point, the one that's really driven home, is that awareness isn't something you need to get or, become.
Okay.
It's what you already are. The source actually asks the reader, what is it that is reading these words? Are you aware right now? What is that awareness like?
Uh,
It's pointing directly to that capacity that's always present.
and what struck me is how the source says we often overlook it because it's just so ordinary.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just the background noise, almost.
Hmm.
But then paradoxically, it calls it a profound mystery.
Mm,
And it's described as the place where, and I'm quoting here, everything that really matters, including peace, joy, and fulfillment, is found.
exactly. And a key insight here, a really important one, is that the very act of seeking awareness, that energy, can actually hide it from view.
How so?
Well, if you're constantly looking for it like it's some object out there,
Right.
you miss the fact that you are the looking, you're the awareness doing the seeing, the
Wow.
seeking. So while we can definitely explore it more, recognize it more fully, that seeking energy itself can stop us from just noticing what's already here.
Okay, so here's something I found really interesting. The text says, awareness is never the same way twice.
Hmm.
It suggests the actual experience of presence is, like, infinitely varied.
Yes, absolutely. It emphasizes the unique flavor, the texture of awareness in each single moment. Your experience isn't static, it's not fixed.
Right.
Awareness is constantly showing up differently, always showing you a new face, a new disguise, a new possibility. The real question isn't, is awareness here? But more like, will you acknowledge and savor the unique flavor that awareness has right now?
Which kind of implies you've actually been exploring this capacity your whole life.
In a way, yeah.
In every single experience, whether you put that label awareness on it or not,
Mhm.
there's always more to discover right here.
And to help understand how this ever-present awareness gets experienced or maybe shaped, the source uses a simple analogy. It says, we are all baby ducks.
Baby ducks, what does that mean? It's like imprinting.
No, it's more about the water. Think about water. Awareness is like water,
Okay,
and it just takes the shape of whatever container it's in.
I get it.
Yeah.
And our container is, well, everything that shows up.
Hmm.
Thoughts, feelings, desires, worries, sensations. All our experiences.
Exactly.
So the shaping by the container, it can make awareness seem small or confined, like water in a really tiny glass.
Precisely. But, and this is crucial, the material makes the point that awareness itself is never actually harmed by being shaped like this.
Right.
It can seem small, it can feel restricted, but its fundamental nature isn't touched. It always has the capacity to expand again.
And it highlights words and concepts as major shapers too, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Like even the concept of awareness itself can become a container
Mhm.
if we start looking for it like a thing.
Yeah. Is it under the chair?
Exactly. The concept itself shapes the experience.
Right.
But the truly startling point Nirmala makes, the really profound one, is that everything that matters is here even when awareness is being shaped, no matter how small or tight it feels. Wow, that shape is temporary.
Mm.
Awareness itself fundamentally can't be harmed. And just recognizing that resilience, that inherent okayness is incredibly valuable.
So awareness is always here, it's resilient, but maybe it feels hidden or small because, well, our minds are often just moving so fast.
That's a big part of it, yeah.
And the text suggests this is where many spiritual practices come in. They're like tools designed to help us just slow down, create a
Ja-
pause.
Precisely. Practice is like meditation. They aren't really about getting somewhere else. They're about bringing attention, bringing awareness right here to the present moment.
Okay.
It allows awareness to actually touch and caress and taste what's happening right now, whatever that is, even if it's just a really busy, frantic mind.
So the invitation then, it sounds quite simple, though maybe not always easy, is just to slow down and actually experience whatever is here now. The thoughts, the feelings, the body sensations, maybe those yearnings. Just shine that light of awareness onto the raw experience. Yes. And the material gently, but, quite firmly shifts the focus here. It's not primarily about the content of the experience,
Oh, you mean?
like what the specific thought is or why you're feeling a certain way. Getting caught up in analyzing the content.
Is this working? Am I doing it right?
Exactly. That just keeps the mind spinning faster. What really matters, the source suggests, is the awareness itself. That simple, miraculous capacity to just register sensations, thoughts, feelings as they arise.
It reminds me of the chocolate analogy mentioned in the text.
Oh, yes.
Instead of just gulping down the chocolate content of the thought, you slow right down and fully savor it. Not just the flavor, but the arising of the thought, the sheer strangeness of something just appearing like that, with real delicacy.
That's a great way to put it.
And the text suggests that cultivating this appreciation for just everyday awareness is valuable in itself. Transformation doesn't have to be some huge, sudden thing.
Right.
It can be more like a creek carving a canyon, just slowly, over time, through that persistent presence.
And moving from the mind's speed to actually discerning truth. The source points to wisdom or discrimination as just an inherent quality of awareness.
Okay.
The question then becomes, how do we actually know how true something feels, how true it is for us?
And this is where the heart comes in as a kind of guide, isn't it?
Yes.
The source describes this really palpable experiential difference. It says, a bigger truth opens your heart and expands your sense of yourself, while a smaller truth contracts your heart and gives you a smaller sense of yourself. It's presented as something natural, like telling hot from cold water.
Yeah.
Just a direct sensing.
Yeah, exactly. That feeling of expansion is described as feeling relaxed, open, connected, whole.
Right.
Contraction, on the other hand, feels tight, hard, limited, inadequate. And it often sends the mind racing, trying to figure things out, analyze everything. And a key distinction made is that your fundamental being isn't actually diminished by contraction. Only the temporary sense of self feels smaller or lacking.
And this isn't just for, like, big spiritual insights, right? It sounds like you can apply this to everyday decisions.
Absolutely.
Taking a job, accepting an invitation. The source suggests sensing the kind of overall climate the decision creates over time, not just a fleeting gut reaction.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's not always instant.
And when that contraction arises, the practice seems to be noticing what's happening right as it starts, catching it early.
Right. And the material also has this interesting perspective that, from the soul's deeper view, sometimes decisions are not that important.
Really?
Yeah. The heart might not register a strong pull either way because on that deeper level of truth, maybe either choice serves your unfolding equally well. There isn't always one right path.
Okay. Well, speaking of things that cause contraction, fear. The source tackles fear, especially the kind triggered by big world events. And it offers this really surprising viewpoint. It says fears are true, but fortunately not very true.
Yeah, that's a great line, isn't it?
It is. What does that mean, not very true?
Yeah. Well, the explanation is pretty straightforward, actually. The things we fear, they haven't actually happened yet.
Right.
As the source points out, if they had, we wouldn't be fearing them anymore. So their existence is really limited to just movements of thought and feeling in this moment, which is a very small, very conditional kind of reality, a very limited truth.
But we give them so much attention.
We do. We amplify them because we're just conditioned to give enormous weight to our thoughts and feelings.
And that intense focus on the content of the fear, that's what contracts our awareness. It creates a kind of, the source calls it a hypnosis or a trance.
Exactly. You get lost in the story.
So what's the antidote?
Well, simply awareness itself.
Yeah.
Just noticing the physical sensation, the energetic feeling of contraction that comes with the fear. That noticing starts to break the spell of the fearful content.
How?
Because that contraction is a clear signal that awareness is narrowing down, leaving things out, leaving possibilities out. The more contracted you feel, the less aware you are of the bigger picture, the full reality.
So you can break free by asking things like, okay, how true is the content of that thought,
Yeah.
really?
Or what else is true right now?
Hmm.
Or even just getting curious about the raw physical sensations. Are these actually bad sensations or just different sensations? The Source makes a key distinction between objective fear, a tiger in the room, and the much more common mentally generated fear.
Okay. This leads us pretty naturally into suffering and desire.
Mm.
Nirmala defines suffering very directly, doesn't she?
Yes, very simply. It's the gap between where our attention is flowing and where we already are.
The gap.
Yeah.
Okay. And desire is described as a thought that has this inherent direction away from where you are right now.
Mm.
So that movement of desire, that pulling away, creates a really powerful shaping of awareness. It leads to contraction, discomfort,
Yeah.
which then fuels the illusion that getting the object of desire is what brings happiness.
Right, the chase itself. So the suffering isn't just in not having the thing, it's in that movement away from the present that desire creates, that gap. Exactly, but then there's this really surprising twist offered in the material
Which is?
that you can actually find the end of suffering, not by getting rid of desire or suffering, but by turning your attention towards the experience of suffering itself.
Towards it.
Yes, by bringing awareness to the experience of desire or the discomfort rather than chasing the object, the flow of awareness naturally starts to fill that very gap.
Wow. That opens up what the Source calls a truly radical invitation then.
It really is.
It says to actually desiring what is wholeheartedly.
Mm-hmm. Wholeheartedly.
And it's not just passive acceptance, like, oh, well, guess I have to accept this, which can feel kind of dead, lifeless.
Right, not resignation.
No, it's about bringing passion, aliveness, even gratitude to what is exactly the way it is right now.
And the paradox, the Source says, is that this brings instant, unlimited happiness because every desire is fulfilled.
How can every desire be fulfilled?
Well, even if you have a desire for things to be different, you meet that desire itself with gratitude and presence. You desire the desiring. Fighting against your conditioning or the feeling of suffering just seems to make it bigger, gives it more power. But desiring it instead, bringing awareness to it, allows you to see often its fundamental ridiculousness. You might even laugh at it, and it loses its grip.
So the practice isn't stopping conditioning from showing up.
No, you can't control that.
It's meeting whatever appears, including the resistance, with that same passion and gratitude. It's like being invited to waste your desire on what is.
Exactly. Don't save it for something better. Use it now.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about emptiness.
Mm.
That word can sound a bit daunting, maybe even negative.
It definitely can. We're conditioned that way.
And the Source addresses this idea of being aware space while still, relating to our bodies and minds.
Mm.
It introduces emptiness not as a void, not as nothingness, but as the very source of everything.
Yes, it describes space as empty, seemingly nothing, but also inherently alive and aware. It's the no thing, out of which love, peace, joy, infinite energy, infinite capacity all arise.
But we're conditioned to see emptiness as lack.
Right.
Something bad that needs to be filled up.
Exactly. We see it as a problem to be solved, usually by getting something from the outside.
Yeah.
And that external search just takes us further away from the true source, which the material says is in the space itself.
So the material suggests some inquiry questions like, what else is present in this space?
Yeah.
Beyond just what my mind wants.
Right. Or asking, does the emptiness itself actually hurt us or cause any harm? Or is it maybe our resistance to it that causes us to suffer? And when you explore it directly, the discovery is often, quite surprisingly, that emptiness is a freeing experience.
Freeing?
Yeah, it's very low maintenance, as the Source puts it. There's nothing it can do to harm you. And the most profound insight offered is that this very emptiness is the true source of everything that really matters.
So that feeling of lack, the biggest problem in our life, our sense of lack or incompleteness,
Is actually our greatest blessing.
Yeah.
That's the radical reframe.
So the invitation is to get curious about that sense of lack, that emptiness directly.
Yeah.
Like, what does the actual whole feel like?
Exactly. Allow whatever arises within that space, maybe old voices, memories, conditioning, just allow it to be there, be seen.
And staying with that emptiness.
Yeah.
What happens?
Well, it can reveal deeper layers of conditioning that need seeing, absolutely. Or it can reveal deeper layers of our true nature, love, peace, joy, right there within the lack itself.
So the source notes that what often arises in the lack is the very thing you felt you were lacking.
Isn't that amazing? It's about trusting that unfolding process within the space, not trying to fill it, but letting it reveal itself.
Okay, Nirmala uses this really vivid analogy to describe the illusion we often live under. She says, life is like a sitcom.
Huh, yes, the sitcom analogy.
A sitcom, how does that work?
Well, think about the plot of so many sitcoms, right? There's usually some simple misunderstanding or mistake near the beginning,
Okay.
and that leads the characters into these increasingly complex, sometimes ridiculous attempts to cover it up,
Yeah.
trying to maintain the lie.
Right, until it all falls apart.
Exactly, until the whole charade just collapses because the lie simply wears itself out. It can't be sustained.
And the source applies this to human life. How?
By saying the simple mistake, the initial misunderstanding is the unquestioned assumption that we are the body, the mind, and the personality. Just that identification.
Okay.
And because this identification isn't the whole truth, it inherently feels incomplete, lacking.
Mm-hmm.
So we spend our lives, the source says, performing these crazy machinations.
Yeah.
Seeking validation, achieving things, performing certain ways, desperately trying to cover up that underlying feeling of incompleteness and keep the illusion of a separate, solid, maybe flawed self going.
Until
Eventually, as the source puts it, you can't keep yourself fooled anymore. The effort becomes too much or the cracks show too clearly.
And the material clarifies that this feeling of a separate me,
Mhm.
it's just another thought pattern.
Yeah, it notes that it often isn't even present when your attention is fully in your heart, fully present.
But understanding this isn't about like attacking or getting rid of the ego, is it?
No, not at all. The source suggests seeing it with awareness is meant to inspire deeper discovery, not negation. The ego can even be a necessary stage of development.
This is about flexibility.
Yes, flexibility in identifying and disidentifying with it seems key. The source even playfully describes the ego like a pimp, taking credit for all the things that being is very good at living your life. Being does the living, ego takes the credit.
That's funny. Okay, so one of the most practical, really powerful practices presented is simply learning to give space to your experience.
Yes, this is huge.
Giving space.
Yeah.
What does that look like in practice?
It just means allowing everything that appears in your awareness, sensations, thoughts, feelings, objects outside you, events happening, allowing it all to simply be there without resisting it, without needing to change it or fix it.
And the source uses that analogy of being a multi-trillionaire of spacious awareness.
Right, you have an infinite supply. You can't run out. So giving space, allowing things to be, naturally shifts your sense of identity into that spaciousness, into being itself.
So it's less about creating space and more about recognizing the space that's just inherent.
Precisely. A simple test offered is, if something exists, there must be enough space for it to exist. It's already here.
Right.
The exercises suggested are simple things, like imagining space flowing around things or just noticing the space that's already there before anything appears in it. Giving space to your body, your thoughts, feelings, the sounds around you.
And the benefit of doing this.
Well, the source asks you directly, how spacious and free do you feel when you give space to everything? And it suggests that for difficult or uncomfortable things, give them lots of space, like all of the space in your neighborhood or even the entire country.
Ah, yeah.
When you give something that much space, how important or solid does the problem seem then? It changes the perspective dramatically.
That's a great reframe.
Yeah.
Because usually we feel like we have such limited time, limited awareness.
Right.
So we have to pick and choose what we can afford to pay attention to or give space to.
Exactly. And the key insight here is that you can actually give space and awareness to everything simultaneously.
At the same time.
Yes. Your thoughts and your physical sensations, the event happening outside and your inner emotional response, the excitement and the fear. The source assures us you can't run out of space.
You can't run out of space.
And related to that, the source says you can't run out of love either, which is described simply as open attention or awareness. You actually feel filled with love when you are giving that open attention.
Wow. Okay, this flows really nicely into the idea of grace.
Ah, yeah.
Which the source calls the flower of awakening.
Yeah.
It describes these experiences of our true nature as movements of grace, not something we do, not something you conjure up.
Right. Profound experiences, moments of clarity or peace, they aren't something you do. They arise through grace.
So if you can't make grace happen, you can't manufacture peace or joy, what's the opportunity?
It's something much subtler. It's about simply notice more often the grace that is already here.
Noticing the grace that's already here,
Yeah.
that feels very different from seeking it or trying to achieve it.
It is different. The Source calls this noticing in between doing and not doing.
In between.
Yeah, it's described as doing something that is already happening because awareness itself is already happening, right?
Right.
And grace is simply the unfolding of that awareness moment by moment. So noticing is just aligning with what's already occurring.
And this unfolding of grace, the Source says it appears as, well, everything that ever happens.
Everything. It's easy to see grace in the obviously miraculous or beautiful moments, sure. But it's also said to show up as the difficulties, the flat tire, the broken heart, the challenging person.
Really? How can those be grace?
Because those challenges are seen as having the potential to wake us up, to lead us to greater awareness, deeper realizations, maybe more compassion. They hold a gift, even if hidden.
So understanding grace isn't just about appreciating the easy stuff. It's seeing that it's always here, bringing the exact experience, whatever it is that is somehow most useful and helpful for our unfolding, even if it feels like suffering right now.
Yes. And seeing the potential grace within the problem, that perspective itself seems to reduce the suffering associated with it.
It takes the sting out, maybe.
It can. And this understanding of grace, it's not presented as just an intellectual idea to believe. It's more of a felt sense of trust that life is safe and good and worthwhile.
A felt sense.
Yeah, it's recognizing the inherent intelligence, maybe even benevolence, in the moment-to-moment unfolding of life. And recognizing grace requires being open and curious about your experience just as it is right now, even, maybe especially, when it's uncomfortable.
The Source uses that great metaphor like trying to remember a name.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
Straining and effort
Yeah.
often don't work.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just stay relaxed and attentive, you'll notice when the name spontaneously pops into your head.
Yeah.
So paying attention, in the context of grace, it means staying awake, staying open, until that recognition or understanding happens spontaneously. You don't force it, you notice it.
Beautifully put. So with all these deep insights,
Yeah.
how does this perspective from Nirmala actually fit into the practical, often messy reality of our daily lives?
Right. How does spirituality connect with, practical problems, psychological challenges?
The Source addresses this head on. It says it's not separate. There's just one reality.
Just one reality.
Yeah. Your spiritual understanding absolutely impacts your daily life, and your daily life provides the testing ground and the real opportunity for deeper realization. Everything affects everything else.
It also acknowledges that common experience, the honeymoon period, after some kind of awakening.
Oh, yes. Where old patterns seem to just vanish.
Right. But then notes that this phase often passes, and the old identities, the conditioning, tend to creep back in.
Mm-hmm. It resurfaces.
And the material suggests that full awakening isn't about staying in the honeymoon, but includes discovering how this deeper nature actually functions and responds within the context of very human challenges.
So daily life isn't a distraction from the mystery.
Well,
It's the opportunity to discover the truth about the nature of this alive mystery itself, right here, right now.
and the Source uses this integrated view to look again at some practical scenarios, like guilt.
Right. Guilt is seen as a contraction, a signal, really, that the thoughts driving the guilt are likely not very true.
Okay.
So the invitation is to explore, okay, what else is true in this moment? What's being left out by this narrow focus on guilt?
And dealing with difficult people.
Another great example, giving space to your reaction, your anger, your frustration, rather than just reacting automatically from it.
Mm-hmm.
And the heart's discrimination comes in too. Is staying in this interaction, this relationship, leading towards contraction or expansion for you and maybe for the other person involved? Sometimes, the Source suggests, leaving might actually be the wiser, more spacious choice.
Especially if it allows you to explore your reactions later in a safer space.
Exactly. And then there's that powerful question about defending yourself versus acceptance. The knife attack example.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
The Source points out there are different levels of truth operating simultaneously. On a practical level, of course, you defend yourself. Absolutely.
Right.
But on a deeper level, an inner acceptance of the entirety of the experience, including the fear and the need to defend, is possible,
And that inner acceptance.
which is just an inherent quality of being, of space. It doesn't mean you become passive. Paradoxically, it actually allows for a wider, more flexible, more effective range of responses because you're not fighting reality internally.
And what about that really challenging idea of seeing love in cruel actions? How is that not just denial?
Yeah, that's tricky. The source clarifies it isn't about denying the cruelty. In fact, ignoring the underlying love essence, the source of all action ultimately, is also a form of denial. Seeing the whole truth includes both acknowledging the inherent love or caring essence that's fundamental to being, and seeing how tragically narrowed, distorted, or blocked it becomes when it's filtered through intense pain, fear, and conditioning.
So the response isn't just passive either.
No. It can involve both love and compassion for the suffering that's driving the cruelty, and clear protection, boundaries, and strength to address the harmful action itself. It's about aiming to address the root, the hurt, the fear, rather than just getting caught in the cycle of attack and defense. It acknowledges the complexity. Reality isn't simple black and white.
That makes sense. The source also touches on other practical areas, like exploring sexual energy, not just as a physical drive, but allowing the energy to feel bigger than the body, exploring the sensations with curiosity, and maybe following the underlying desire back to its source.
Right, the desire for connection, for intimacy, for love, which the source says is always available right here within awareness itself.
And relationships become a practice in giving attention, giving acceptance to others.
Which, as we mentioned, is the way you actually feel filled with love yourself. You are filled with love when you are giving it. You can't run out of awareness, you can't run out of love.
And for that loss of motivation, some people feel after deep insights.
Yeah, the source suggests just getting curious about maybe subtler drives emerging, or simply starting doing something, anything, and seeing what energy arises from the action itself. It's about that flexibility again, understanding these different levels, practical, psychological, spiritual, and how they work together.
Okay. This whole exploration seems to lead us towards a really fundamental, maybe even unanswerable question raised by Nirmala.
Yes, the question of the doer.
Who could do this? When actions happen sweeping the floor, having a conversation, who is the doer? Is it I? Is there no self? Or is it everything?
And the source uses that broom sweeping analogy brilliantly to show why each single answer feels, well, incomplete.
Right. Saying I swept misses the interconnectedness, the no-self reality. Saying no self-swept ignores the practical reality of someone holding the broom.
Seems absurd on that level.
And saying everything swept misses the specificity of this action by this apparent person. It presents it as a genuine dilemma, a paradox with no easy out.
And right there, the source offers this profound possibility. It suggests perhaps the gift may be in the question itself, not in some final answer.
The gift is in holding the question, not resolving it.
Yes. Exploring the actual experience of doing while simultaneously holding that question open. Sensing the different levels of reality all at once. The emptiness within, the oneness of all things, and the apparent personal action unfolding.
Because life is always unfolding in new ways.
Exactly. Ways that can't be fully captured by any fixed concept or answer. So, as the source says, only in each new moment can we discover what the everything and nothing that we are is going to do next.
Wow. It really sounds like the spiritual journey from this viewpoint isn't about arriving at some final destination.
Doesn't seem like it.
It's the journey itself, the continuous discovery within each unfolding moment, keeping that question alive. What am I doing right now and now? That keeps you present.
We've certainly covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, starting with that mysterious nature of awareness, how it's something you already are.
Right, and exploring how the heart helps us discern truth, that sense of expansion and contraction.
And discovering the richness that's available right within emptiness, and even within the experience of suffering and desire itself.
We looked at the ego not as an enemy, but as a temporary identification, a kind of thought pattern.
And that incredibly practical, powerful practice of just giving space to everything, remembering you're a multi-trillionaire of space.
Yeah. And recognizing grace, not just in the good times, but showing up in every single moment, however it looks.
And finally, touching on how all these insights weave into daily life, into practical challenges, and into that ongoing rich exploration of the nature of doing.
And Nirmala's material, it doesn't really offer these as beliefs to just adopt wholesale, does it?
No, not at all. They're more like pointers, invitations to explore within your own direct experience.
Tools, really, for navigating your life with maybe more curiosity, more awareness.
Exactly. So, as we wrap up this deep dive, here's maybe a thought for you, the listener, to carry with you to explore in your own experience.
Okay.
If awareness is what experiences every single experience, and the source strongly suggests that awareness itself cannot actually be harmed,
Hmm.
what does recognizing that, feeling into that, fundamentally change about how you meet the difficulties and challenges in your own life right now?
Hmm. That's a powerful question. Or thinking about that radical invitation we discussed, what happens if you were to choose, just as an experiment, to wholeheartedly desire whatever's happening in this very moment, exactly as it is?
Keep exploring those questions. Keep looking.
Keep diving deep into your own experience.